Today, I'm going to try not to use AI at all. Well, actually, I tried yesterday, so I'm going to tell you how it went. If you've seen my past videos, you know that I talk a lot about how AI is part of our everyday lives, how current research in the field is interesting and potentially relevant to you as a normal person, as well as why you maybe shouldn't be using these tools at all. However, something that I'd never tried to do myself was to just see if I could not use it in the first place. So that is what I tried to do yesterday. Good morning. It is 6:30 a.m. and I think I might have technically already broken the rules because I have an 8 sleep mattress pad, um, which does automatically adjust the temperature of my bed based on, you know, biometric signals and whatnot. I mean, I slept on it last night. That's how it works. So we're starting off well. We'll see how much harder this gets. The first thing I realized very quickly was that I didn't go into the day with a concrete definition of what I was calling AI. Because we could talk about things like recommendation systems, we could talk about things like control systems. I have a heated mattress pad, the 8 Sleep, that reads my various biometric signals and updates the heating of my mattress based on that. That is a control system in a lot of ways. It also technically uses AI. Should I not be using that? I don't know. I was sleeping on it, so I did. Could I watch YouTube? Could I have autoplay on when I was watching YouTube? These were the important questions that I had to figure out first thing in the morning. All right. I'm realizing very quickly that it would probably make sense to write down the things that I'm using because I've had multiple instances where I picked something up and then been like, is this breaking the rules? Um, And it's been like 50-50 on whether or not I continue to do it, but I would like to keep track of them. That way I can kind of go back after the fact and decide whether or not I think they were. To give you a sense of how my day normally goes, I tend to get up around 6. I usually have coffee. My coffee machine does not use AI. I know that. That's easy enough. And then I will have my coffee, potentially go to the gym depending on the day. If I go to the gym, I'm listening to podcasts, so I knew I wasn't going to run into any issues there. I think the challenge did start to hit a little bit more once I got back because when I start my day, I often use AI tools to help me process thoughts, generate to do lists, things like that. For me personally, it's a lot easier to talk through an idea. I think this is probably part of the reason why I make YouTube videos. And in doing so, I use dictation tools. I use a tool called Mac Whisper, which uses AI. The backend for the dictation setup is the OpenAI API. I might actually be running the Anthropic API right now. Whatever. Even if I didn't use that tool, Apple, when you record a voice memo, now automatically transcribes and provides you with a transcript. So that was something that I largely decided not to use. I did use it at first because I didn't think about it. Once I realized I was totally using AI, I decided not to use that for a day and see if I could get through the day without it. Another thing that I didn't think about is the email tool that I use is called Superhuman. I also kind of use Apple Mail, and both of those use AI. In both cases, it's either for inbox sorting for Apple Mail and then for being able to write down, here's what I want to send in the email, and it will write the email for you. I just didn't use those tools. I don't tend to use them a ton anyway, which I think helped. I just decided not to use those in the first place. This was like 9:30 a.m., and this was also when I started making a list of times during the day when I either realized I was using an AI tool and I didn't realize it, or when I encountered a moment where I was like, this is normally a place where I would use AI, and was like, oh no. So at that point, we already had 2 or 3 examples on the list. The next thing that came up for me was I'd normally play YouTube videos in the background when I work. And I decided that, oh, this person's about to rear end someone. Anyway, I decided that using things like passive recommendation systems, because I'm not going to the recommended page on YouTube. I'm literally like choosing a video. It's usually a Reddit stories video and then letting it go. I decided that was okay. I had watched almost all of the videos that were recommended to me anyway, so I didn't feel like I was being recommended something particularly new. You can tell me in the comments whether or not you think that was reasonable. I think the next hurdle that came up actually came up around content. All right, I totally broke the rules here. It's 11 a.m. I did go to get groceries. Did my normal Trader Joe's run, talked to my dad. I would pull out Siri for that, and I didn't do that. And it was something that I consciously caught myself in, so that was cool. But I am running a course right now, a live course on AI tools, and I forgot that I had been brain dumping a lot of stuff into Claude and needed to be able to pull out kind of a detailed summary of that for this class. So I did break the rules, but I tried to keep it pretty limited, only using it like a couple times and then being done. I've been running a live course called Make AI Work for You. It is a 4-week live course where I have been helping people develop AI workflows that work for them. A lot of people were interested in particularly privacy forward tool sets, things like that. And a lot of my idea generation and idea kind of organizing, similar to how I like to talk through ideas, is something that I run through Claude. I don't use it to generate things wholesale, but I will basically dictate a bunch of stuff, brain dump a bunch of stuff, and then throw it into Claude and have it kind of organize things in a way that would make sense to other people. I'll also do this with Notion AI occasionally when I'm doing videos. It just makes it easier. The problem I encountered there was not that I had planned to brain dump, but that there were slides that I was working on, a slide outline that I was working on that I hadn't totally finished, that was in Claude, and where a lot of the finishing was stuff I had brain dumped or existed in a really long chat that I already had. And I decided that I wasn't going to use that and I was going to put it together myself. That took more time than I expected, but I was happy that I get and it definitely highlighted just like how much for day-to-day level stuff I tend to use. I am definitely someone who prefers Claude over ChatGPT unless I need internet access, in spite of the fact that Claude's context window sucks. I can't give like a good reason why, it's a personal preference, but I could not rely on that for the day, which I was not particularly happy about. Similarly, the next thing that came up was that I was planning on filming some short form content, and I typically edit my short form content in Descript. Descript is a video slash audio editing tool. It's transcript based editing. It also will correct your audio using AI. I love that tool. I think it's amazing. I am not someone who enjoys editing. I think it's really tedious. And it has saved me so much time that I could spend doing other things that I actually want to do. But instead, I did reel editing for the first time in quite a while. And I was reminded of how much I don't like it. I will say that I did still use Studio Sound, largely because I am not good at audio editing. Like you can put together, like, particularly for short form content, you don't need to be amazing at editing to put that together, but audio is very important, which is why you guys are seeing me use this more often to cut the echo from my apartment. But because of that, I was kind of like, I'm going to break the rule for this particular instance because I would rather not make people's like ears bleed for the sake of the video. So I was able to get through our live session, hanging out with people, talking about different tools. I hadn't totally planned this, but I ended up not needing to demo tools that day because we were talking about how would you like parse privacy policies and understand how to get a company to like delete your data, how to know if a company is using your data as training data, how to evaluate tools from that lens. That does not require you to use AI in the first place, which was very nice for me and my schedule. Towards the end of the day, I did find myself opening up TikTok and Instagram Reels. Both of those are obviously algorithmic feeds. I still scrolled on Reels, but I did get off TikTok. I am trying to post more on TikTok and Reels in spite of the fact that TikTok may or may not exist in like a month. As much as I am trying to do that, I am also trying not to spend much time on it. So this was kind of a good thing for me in terms of having a much more concrete reason to be like, I should close the app. And then it was at the end of the day, I was done working. I had planned to watch TV and hang out for the rest of the evening. I don't think any part of that involved AI. I'm trying to actually think back to make sure that's true. I'm not really someone who uses ChatGPT for recipe generation or anything like that outside of like recommendation systems for YouTube. I'm not gonna really use it on my TV, I guess. And I did go to bed and use my 8 sleep mattress pad because my body doesn't know how to regulate its own temperature. So I decided that I was okay with that. How successful was I? Well, I think that there were a couple interesting things. One was that I think the ways that AI shows up in my life were probably more insidious than I was thinking of. I've talked in the past about how while I spend a lot of time trying and testing new AI tools, I have like a whole database of them. You can check it out in the description. I don't actually use a lot of them in my day-to-day workflow. And it was interesting to see when I was thinking about doing this video, I was kind of like, oh, this won't be that hard because I don't use a million tools. Of course, what I didn't take into account was that while I don't use a million tools, I do use like 3 tools a lot. And in not using them, it kind of throws a wrench in my entire day. I think the smaller places where it seeps in were also things like the mattress pad, most recommendation algorithms, Google search, which like involves certain levels of AI. Places where I think that even if you wanted to be the purist about it, that you wouldn't really have the option to opt out at the end of the day, except for the mattress pad. I bought that. That's me. Or where if you did actually want to opt out, you'd be opting out from using a much wider category of technology than just using AI. There was actually one instance of me trying to use, or I do like making presentation decks, but I don't like designing them. I like the storytelling aspect of putting it together, but I'm not a graphic designer at the end of the day. And so something that I find myself doing over and over is going to ChatGPT and trying to use the Canva tool to generate presentations or any of the other presentation tools. And they're always bad. Like I always hate them and I always end up making it myself. What I will say very much surprised me wasn't really how AI is everywhere, but how resistant I was to changing certain relationships with technology, even when they weren't serving me well. Like continuously going back to that Canva tool, even though I know it won't work. I think it can be really fascinating to explore how deeply our identities end up getting intertwined into the tech that we use or the tech that we think we should use, whether that be something like ChatGPT or something like a PowerPoint maker. This complex relationship between identity and technology is exactly what Jessie Gender explores in Identities, a Nebula original where two strangers wake up with no memory of who they are and are forced to piece together their identities based while trapped in a corporate metaverse that controls every aspect of their lives. It's a powerful story about rediscovering yourself, and you can watch it right now on Nebula. You'll find Identities along with thousands of hours of original content from hundreds of creators, including vital investigative work on AI from channels like Proof News. They've been doing incredible reporting lately on the environmental impacts of AI, particularly as it relates to water consumption. Their work really makes you think about the hidden costs of our relationships with technology. Nebula is an independent streaming platform that I helped create alongside other creators who wanted a space for deeper, more thoughtful content that might not work elsewhere. We've grown into one of the most dynamic independent video platforms out there with a commitment to supporting creator-driven content. Nebula is completely ad-free, and creators often release their videos early on Nebula. In fact, if you'd like to see me do a tier list of all of the AI tools that I tried this year, you can watch that right now on Nebula before it goes up on YouTube. So if you're ready to explore Identities and our other thoughtful content, you can sign up using my link for 40% off. That is $36 a year or just $3 a month when you sign up at nebula.tv/Jordan or using the link in the description. And if you'd like to share the experience, you can gift a year of Nebula to a friend at gift.nebula.tv/Jordan for $36. And don't worry, we'll never make AI decide who you should be. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I would love to know whether or not you've tried to do this or if you are going to. And if you do, tell me how it goes. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.